Good evening and welcome back to the Korea Racing League F1 2021 Esports League. We are back after a couple of weeks of absence. Sorry about the lack of streams, but between load shedding and a trip away, unfortunately I was not around. So, to the results from the last race, we had a fairly small grid, 10 players on the grid. KQ Microstatic taking the top spot on taking the podium, Venom in second, Humid in third. Following that, the race itself, it was a chaotic race. As you can see, 6 DNFs, only 4 finishers, Venom, Humid, KQ Microstatic and Mellow all finishing. Porty after this race has retired from the league as well, so not having a great race, but will be coming back, might be coming back for the next season, we don't know, but he had a decent run and we hope to see him again at some point. Going forward from that, longest stints, Humid had the longest stint, 17 lap old mediums, and then Porty and Salty Gaben, 13 laps each. Are also on those mediums. Fastest laps, Venom with the fastest lap of the race, 128.083, 5.5 tenths quicker than KQ Microstatic with the second fastest lap, also on softs in lap 25. And Humid putting in quite a decent attempt at the fastest lap with the medium tires, 6 tenths back, which is not bad considering the tire difference, especially through Silverstone. Beyond that, pure race pace, Humid seemed to have the best pure race pace, struggling a little bit in the first sector, which let him down and saw him finish in second place. KQ Microstatic very close behind, and Venom in third place on pure race pace. And consistency, Porty was the most consistent before he crashed out. Humid second, Venom in third place. Onto the standings, we have the driver standings. Humid sitting at the top of the table with a 126, Venom in second, 97 with 97 points. Dark Fox 91 points, but has retired from the season. IMTJ fourth place, 82 points, and Jarvis in 5th with 81. All 5 of those guys have a mathematical chance of taking the championship still, but we will see what happens. Humid would have to crash out or score no points, and then the others would have to, someone would have to win 2 races in many of those situations. Team standings in the meantime, Mercedes with 178 points, Aston Martin 166, very close between the two of them. Humid and Moz have recently been pretty strong, but Moz has been having a little bit of reliability concerns. So we will see how that goes between Mercedes and Aston Martin. Today we are racing at Monza, the Temple of Speed. It's a very simple looking track, 2 DRS zones, and not much elevation to speak of. So we will head over to join the guys in the qualifying, and let's see how this goes. Alrighty, so let's go see who's on an outlap. Ooh, that looked like a bad little spot of lag for Moz. That is having quite a bit of lag. So we will have to keep an eye on how he is doing. Deadpool looks like he's out. Looks like there is a... There we go. Merc ahead of him, so we will follow Venom around as he approaches the end of his outlap. It does look like Flausible, Jarvis and Alicia are all on laps already, but we will follow Venom around to watch him through the entire lap. So starting lap, heading down towards turn 1, it is a breakneck run down to this corner, hard braking zone, very tight corner, doubles back on itself almost, and then back forward. You can see the snap of oversteer there as Venom tries to get traction coming out of the corner. Very difficult to do that before you go into Curva Grande, literally the big corner that heads down into the second chicane. This chicane has some of the most terrifying curbs of the game. They will give you floor damage 9 times out of 10 if you go over them. Then into the first of the Lesmos, followed very close by the second. Venom not taking too much of the curb on the outside there on either of the Lesmos, but getting through there anyway. Let's see how he does going through the second DRS zone and crossing the line, 54.115. No split yet as he hasn't completed a lap through Ascari chicane. and onto the final stretch down towards Parabolica, which puts you back onto the pit straight. I will put the sound up as soon as this lap is done. I am aware of it being down at the moment, but that was just a quick tour of the lap itself. Venom crosses the line and goes third fastest out of 4, so not a great lap, not a bad lap looking at the other times, but not as good as he might want, although the 2 Astons have not completed their laps just yet. So sound is coming on now, and away we go. How's it, Hype? How are you doing? Yes, it is Monza once again. Apparently every league has managed to schedule Monza for the same week. We had Retrokill running Monza, we've got Acoria running Monza. Apparently 2021 ran Monza recently, if I remember correctly. There's another league as well. So Monza, it seems to be Monza week, and we are watching Venom. It looks almost like he is pushing once again, so he may be doing a double lap run. We are running the same. Ooh, the same. That's a lot of lag right there. So we are running the same as we did in the Retrokill League. We are rehosting between sessions. The reason for this is there is still a bit of a desync issue, especially when changing sessions, and so to try and avoid that, we will be rehosting between sessions. So Venom coming, that means that everyone gets a free tire choice, and so people can burn up their tires a lot more than they normally would. And I think that's why Venom pushed through once again, goes third place again, and we're seeing a lot of lag there. So that is something to keep in mind, to keep an eye on, to see if it does become a massive issue. Just checking to see if anyone is reporting the lag as well. Okay, so we do not have anyone complaining about too much lag in-game itself, so it does look like it might just be lag on the stream, which is unusual, but we will have to keep an eye on it, especially in the early sections of the race itself. During quali, not too much of a problem. Most people won't be that close together. They will be trying to keep gaps between them, and so it shouldn't be too much of a problem here, but as I said, we will keep an eye on it and make sure that it doesn't affect the race itself. So Marcus is on an outlap. It looks like there is an Aston Martin behind him. That is Humid, who has set the fastest time of the session so far, a 1:20.292. So Humid definitely stating his intent, putting himself into a strong position for the race. Pole here is very important. It's quite difficult to pass around this track. Marcus is actually doing pretty well on his outlap to stay away from Humid, but Humid is taking advantage of this, getting the toe down towards Parabolica. The weird little bit of shaking there, I'm not sure if that was maybe lag or him trying to not actually sure what that was. Oh, there he goes into the pits. So we will follow Marcus around now on his lap, heading down towards turn 1. Turn 1 is part of the Variante de Retifilio, is the correct name for the chicane itself, although I will generally call it first corner and first chicane. Obviously this is where Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen had their coming on top of each other rather than coming together last year, where most people argue that Hamilton didn't leave space. The others argue that Verstappen shouldn't have been there in the first place. The stewards ruled that he shouldn't have been there in the first place because he wasn't alongside going into the first section of that complex, and I kind of agree with that. Obviously, with the chicane being as tight as it is, it's very difficult to try and leave space going through the second apex if you have, not expected someone to be there when going through the first part, which was the argument. So Marcus coming through the Ascari chicane, coming onto the last straight. The last straight doesn't actually have a name, even though the run down to the first chicane, this straight here, the start-finish straight, is actually called the Retifilio Tribune, which is interesting that this one has a name but the other one does not. This is part of the original track, the heavily banked track, which you can see at certain points around this track. Ooh, and Marcus hits that curb on the first corner and loses the car, almost ends up in the wall. Does well to stop himself while on that grass. KQ Marcus that comes across the line in 4th place at the moment. Not sure if he's starting lap or has just finished one. We will follow Moz around as he is coming towards the Variante della Roggia. The Della Roggia chicane, which is this one here with the very mean curbs. You could see the car jumping up and down there as he went over the curb on the second part of the chicane, and those curbs can very quickly cause floor damage. Not so much an issue in quali, but definitely an issue in the race when you can't repair the car. And we are likely to see a lot of people running around with damage from those curbs. So Moz coming down towards the Ascari chicane. The Ascari chicane is this one right here as he goes under the bridge. The bridge there is actually part of the old track. Oh, Moz has to, oh yes, Moz is obviously on his outlap. So going down the final straight, weaving to warm up his tires, gets out of the way of the AlphaTauri going past quite nicely, warms up his tires some more. There's an AlphaTauri behind him, not sure if that AlphaTauri is on a lap or not. Looks like Moz is, ooh, that was very close. Hopefully that AlphaTauri was not on a lap, otherwise that can be seen as impeding, especially considering it's one of the AlphaTauris. KQ Marcus pops up to the top of the time with 120.286, only 6 thousandths up from Humid's time. So that is a very good lap by KQ, but it shows how strong Humid's lap is. That did not sound like a good break by Moz. Sounded like he may have overcooked it a little bit, slid around a little bit as he went into the first part of the chicane. Now around Curva Grande down towards the Della Roggia chicane. Takes it in, hits that curb, hits the curbs on both sides, wiggles a little bit on the exit, maybe a little bit too optimistic on the throttle, but does keep it heading in the right direction as he goes through the Lesmos. Lots of curb on the right hand side of the second Lesmo, which is a good way to take it, and runs right out onto the left hand side as well on the exit, down towards the Ascari chicane under the old track and into the Ascari chicane. Oh, a little bit wide there, but has not invalidated his lap, pushing down onto the final stretch. Is he trying to get a tow? Looks like he might be trying to get a tow from the AlphaTauri, but I don't know if the AlphaTauri knows he's there. Let's see if the AlphaTauri gets out of the way through Parabolica. Does indeed, goes off the track to avoid getting in the way. That is very good from the AlphaTauri as Moz ducks into the pits. That was a little anticlimactic. So we have a yellow flag that was for Venom for some reason, not sure why that was. Humid is currently coming down the final stretch, but going very slowly. Jarvis going into the pits, so it looks like we have a little bit of a lull at the moment. Let's see what Humid does. Is he going to duck into the pits as well, or is he starting up for a lap? Looks like he's starting up for a lap, going all the way to the left hand side to pick up as much speed as he possibly can, get across the line as straight as he can, heading down towards the first corner, the Variante, the Retifilio chicane. Oh, way too much curb on the second part of that. That is going to seriously cause issues for his lap. It also looks like the red light is flashing on the back of his car, which generally means that he doesn't have that much ERS, but I'm not sure if that's actually the case right now. He is second, 1.1 seconds up from his previous time. This is definitely no longer a lap, and he takes to the escape road there. Looks like Flawsball also went to the escape road there, possibly to try and get out of the way of Humid, but Humid had lost his lap already. So Venom is the next person that looks like, nope, there he is popping into the pits as well. So a lot of people going on outlaps and then immediately coming back into the pits. Not entirely sure what's happening there, but I'm sure it will maybe it's just the game freaking out some more, which, you know, it has a habit of doing lately. So Moz going around at the moment, shows he's on an outlap. I don't know how accurate that actually is at the moment, But we'll follow him around and see if he pops into the pits as well, or if he is actually out on a proper lap. 4 minutes left of the qualification session, and currently the standings are KQ Mark Static out in front, 120.286. Humid in second place, or 120.292. As I said, only 6 thousandths back. Moz looks like he's gearing up for a lap. Venom 120.697, so 4 tenths back between third and second. Jarvis 120.775. The Mercedes sticking together on the second row. One of the Mercedes bringing out a yellow flag going into the first. Lesmo, not sure what's happening there, but we're going to follow Moz around on this lap. Plausible in the Alfa Romeo in fifth place, a 121.060, the first of the 121s. Marcus 121.331. Moz 121.429. So he's going to have to push this lap to try and get further up. 3 minutes left, and it's a 1 minute 30 lap around here, especially on the out laps. No worry, KQ, that is fine. I don't think I'm seeing too much. Well, you're not making laps on that, so that should be absolutely fine. Moz going into the first chicane, gets through it nice and cleanly this time, and gets the power down nice and early coming out of it. So this should be a good run around the Curva Grande. Let's see what he can do. Alicia currently sitting in 8th, and Deadpool in 9th place. Deadpool quite a bit off the pace, but Alicia getting a good run into the end of this quali with 122.773. So Moz going through the first of the Lesmos, takes a lot of the curb on the exit. Let's see how he takes the second Lesmo. Ooh, a little bit wide there, possibly. No, there it is. It is actually invalidated. So Moz backs out of his lap. Jarvis coming through the first of the Lesmos. Again, yellow flags where there aren't anything going on. It does look like there is a slow Haas and a Humid on an outlap as well, as Jarvis comes down the straight to the first DRS zone. Gets through Ascari. That was very deep on the curb there. That is exactly what you want to do, going through Ascari, trying to make it as straight as possible despite all the kinks in it. Jarvis coming down towards Parabolica, does see the 2 Aston Martins going into Parabolica already, but shouldn't be affected by dirty air as he runs right up to the curb, but then decides to pull in a little bit earlier, so may not have been carrying as much speed as he would like, but is enough for third place, a 120.516. So Mercedes popping up 1 or 2 places. I didn't actually keep track of where he was before that, and so he is up into third place. Humid now out on another lap, will be wanting to smash that 120.286 that KQ set, but it is going to be a tall order. Let's see how he does. I missed his first split, unfortunately. So let's see, he goes through Lesmo 1. Nice run on the curb on the exit there. Lesmo 2, also good run on the curb, does not invalidate his lap, so let's see what he can do as Mercedes goes off at the second chicane, possibly to get out of the way of the AlphaTauri and the Haas coming up behind as Humid goes into Ascari. Oh, that is not good. I saw that happening. That is going to be massive damage to that car. He is not going to get another run before the end of the session. So let's see. Here, that means Humid cannot improve his time. There will obviously be some track evolution, so he will have lost out on the track evolution, will probably have some damage, so that will probably be the end of his qualification. We have KQ Microstatic. Looks like he is coming towards Parabolica. Hopefully Humid does not impede him as he goes through Parabolica. Humid does keep going, so it may be causing a little bit of dirty air, but KQ Microstatic using the toe. So let's see, KQ Microstatic does go faster, 120.214, possibly helped a little bit by that toe by Humid, so a good run by KQ to get to the top of the timing sheets into pole position. We still have a couple of people out on laps. Venom has invalidated, so he's not going to improve. Marcus going through Ascari at the moment. Looks like a safe run through the first part of it, but goes very wide through the second and third part. Down the final straight into Parabolica. Let's see what he can do with this. If he gets further up the timing sheet. 120.984, what he's currently trying to beat, and he goes... just a little slower, so he stays in 6th position. Let's see if Mars can't do anything. He has invalidated as well. Deadpool, the last person on a valid lap, coming up towards the finish line. Looks like he's going quite slowly. Yeah, very slowly, 125.192. So that is the end of the changes. We're only waiting for Moz to come across the finish line to finish the qualification session. So that will be our standings. KQ Microstatic in first place with a 1.20.214, Humid in second, 120.292, Jarvis in third, 120.516, Flawsible fourth, 120.577, so very close to that third place. Venom 120.697, Marcus 120.2984, Moz 121.154, will not improve this lap, Alicia 122.056, and Deadpool 125.191. So very good quali session by quite a few of the racers. And very good times coming out there. A couple people will be a little disappointed that they invalidated the laps that were important for them, but that is just the way that these things happen. Humid looks like he's lagging about a little bit, but so again, we will have to keep an eye on the lag itself as we go into the next session. Alrighty, so we will now drop out of the session and rehost. We will see you guys shortly. Alrighty, and we are back. Thank you so much for your patience. We have rehosted the stream, or rehosted the lobby itself. And let's see what happens. A little bit concerning there. The game was telling us there were 27 racers. Light rain was what we saw at the beginning of the race. Light rain was confirmed for the entire race itself. Cake, you thought there may have been a little bit of dry coming towards the end, but it must have been quite far back because no one else saw it. Yeah, 27 apparently. It doesn't even make sense. But here we go. I think, does the game allow 7 spectators maybe? I don't know. But there we have it. Hopefully the F1 2022 game will be more stable, but we shouldn't hold our breaths because, it's EA. And they can't even make the Sims stable, so... Waiting for players... Is it only 2? So where is the 27 coming from? It makes no sense. How many, in the F2 lobbies, how many players does it allow in the F2 lobbies? Do you know? I'm a little concerned that, oh, right, of course, we're waiting for players because people have not readied up, which is good. Alrighty, so we should be ready to go shortly. Hopefully. And there we are. Okay, so 30 seconds to start, assuming people take it right up to the end. However, people should have been able to set up their setups by now. So we're hoping for a quick start. 15 seconds to go. Obviously, wet starts are always interesting. There is very little traction off the line, and we are likely to see 1 or 2 spinners. And running, it's a long run down to that first corner and a heavy braking zone in the wet with cold tires and heavy cars. It is going to be chaos, I am certain. So let's see what happens and whether the grid actually stuck. It does look like it did. 5 red lights are on, and away we go. So right off the bat, very slow start as you can see, and that is pretty normal. We have Deadpool spinning in the background as we expected that someone was going to spin. KQ Microstatic down to the first corner, still in the lead. Humid in second. Oh, that looks like Marcus lost control of his car and went straight over Oh, that is unfortunate for Marcus, getting a 10-second penalty, Humid getting a 5-second penalty for corner cutting, and Microstatic also looks like he got a 5-second penalty. That will definitely be looked at after the race, because I don't believe those penalties should have been there. 20 seconds for Marcus, that seems a little harsh, especially on the first corner. Looks like someone clattered over the curbs there. That looks like it might have been damage. So this race already has proven a little bit odd as far as the penalties are concerned, but it looks like everyone is still on their way through the track. KQ Microstatic having held the first position, going down towards Ascari now, going into Ascari for the first time in the light wet conditions. Humid in second, Plausible in third, making a good start, Jarvis in fourth, Venom in fifth. We have Deadpool retiring from the session. The wet has obviously not agreed with them, and we have a virtual safety car right away on the first lap. At least it is a virtual safety car, not a full safety car, so it will not affect when well, I was going to say when DRS comes into play, but that won't happen because it is a wet race, so it is going to be incredibly difficult to pass. That strong start by KQ Microstatic, super important thanks to the fact that we have the wet race. So Plausible making up one position, Jarvis losing a position, Moz and Alicia both making up a position as Marcus dropped so far down with his issue. It looks like he is going into the pits at the moment, obviously picked up some damage from clattering over those curbs there, may have lost a front wing as well as he went off on the other side. Will be interesting to see what happened to him there. So we have KQ Microstatic in first place, and we are underway again. KQ getting a good run off the virtual safety car. Humid 6/10 back, seeming to maintain, so Humid not getting too bad a run, but falling back as they go through the second chicane. Plausible in third place, Jarvis in fourth, Jarvis and Venom switching positions at the moment. Let's see, it looks like they're both on track still, so Jarvis and Venom switching positions. Venom, I do believe, is closer to the top of the table, so that may have been a team decision. At the moment, the Aston Martins not looking great, with Moz still behind the two Mercedes cars, but neither of the Mercedes cars in those high-paying first three positions. Humid going very wide there, coming out of the Ascari chicane and down towards Parabolica. KQ Microstatic still in front with a almost 1 second lead. Venom is now coming up towards the back of Plausible, 7/10 behind as they go through Parabolica. So we'll sit on the camera with Venom. KQ Microstatic setting the fastest lap of the race, 1:33.100. You can see how much slower it is in the wet. The 120s that we saw in quali, a distant memory with the wet conditions and full of fuel. So Venom getting right up to the back of Plausible there. Looks like it's almost touching 2/10 behind at the moment, 2.5 tenths. So Venom stating his intentions as they go through Curva Grande. Venom keeping a slightly tighter run to the apex of Curva Grande, but then going wider as they go down towards the De La Roggia chicane. Now into the Lesbos. This is not a great place to try and pass, but Lesmo 1 does set you up quite nicely. You can set yourself up quite nicely for Lesmo 2, and as they go through Lesmo 2, Venom will be hoping to get a better run off the exit, and he does exactly that and is now alongside and past Plausible, but this is in the wet. There is no DRS. Plausible tucking in right behind him as they head down towards Ascari, braking a little early, losing a little bit of space to the car ahead, but not too much. Meanwhile in front, Humid is showing that he can actually race in the wet, less than 3/10 behind KQ Microstatic as they head into Parabolica and down towards the start finish straight. KQ getting onto that white line and losing traction as he does gets onto the power, and that will affect his run all the way down towards the first corner. Humid showing his intention, 1:30.361, 3 seconds down from the previous lap. He is now alongside KQ as they head into the first chicane, and that is a nice clean pass. KQ giving him the space he needs, getting tucked in behind him, both of them losing a little bit of traction on the exit. In the meantime, we have Jarvis on the back of Plausible as well now. 5/10 between him and Plausible, 5/10 between KQ Microstatic and Humid. KQ Microstatic and Humid will be wanting to make up those 5 seconds the penalties that they have. I'm not sure if those 5-second penalties can be served in the pits, so that is something that will come into play towards the end of the race if that is the case, but we will see when we get there. In the meantime, KQ Marks that are going through the second Lismo is only 4/10 back from Humid, does not get as good an exit, but maybe using a little bit of ERS to make up for it. Moz is running quite slowly. I know he does sometimes struggle with the wet. I don't know if that's what's happening now or whether he does have damage, as you may have suggested. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any way for me to check properly, which is unfortunate, but there we go. So KQ Marksadic, 3/10 back, 2/10 back, looking at the inside of Parabolica, showing his AlphaTauri in the mirrors of that Aston Martin as they head towards Parabolica and through it. KQ Marksadic getting onto the power a little bit too early again, and now we'll start losing time all the way down the straight. We'll be having to dump quite a bit of ERS just to keep up after that little mistake. Not close enough to look at that first chicane and thinks better of doing so. Flawsible has lost a lot of time to Venom ahead, and Jarvis has now decided he is going to try something, does not actually go for it, takes a wider line through the second part of the Retifilio chicane, but does not actually make it stick for 3/10, 2/10. Going through Curva Grande, he is looking at maybe passing going into the Delaroggio chicane. Let's see if he can. Gets to the outside of the first part of the corner, but gets cut off by Flawsible. Has to pull back a little bit as they go through the Delaroggio chicane and down towards the first of the Lesmos. So lots happening all the way through the field. Alicia 9 seconds back from Mars, Marcus 12 seconds back, possibly with damage to his floor after going across those giant sausage curves. You can see Moz pushing hard in the background and losing it on the exit of the second Lesmo, so he might be pushing a little bit too hard, or possibly still does or actually have some floor damage, which would be causing issues as well. So as we head down towards Parabolica, KQ Microstatic 5/10 back from Humid, but losing some time on that straight. Let's see if he can pull it back going through the Parabolica itself. It looks like he does get a good run through the apex, but loses a little bit. No, he has gotten a very good exit and is catching almost 10th already, 10th and a half. Looks like he might look at the inside. No, decides better. Breaks just at the same approximate time as Humid, and a very good run through the Retifilio chicane as Jarvis has pulled back a little bit from Plausible, maybe deciding he's going to just put pressure on and not try anything rash. 7/10 up to 8th, 9/10 now coming out of the Retifilio chicane as they head down towards the Delaroggio. So the drivers making sure that I have a lot to talk about. 6/10 only between. Flawsible has left the session. So Flawsible having some sort of connection issue possibly, and has now left the session. That means Jarvis will be able to catch up to him quite quickly, as the bots are only running on 65% AI, and that means that Jarvis should get a much better run out of here, and you can already see how close he is to Flawsible ahead. Hopefully Flawsible doesn't reconnect while he's there, and through they go. If Deadpool is still in the session, I'm not sure if we should allow Flawsible to reconnect. I don't know what that will do for the desync. So that is a little bit of an issue. Flawsible will probably remain as a bot until the end of the race, unfortunately. So that is the end of his race. Not sure what happened there. Hopefully nothing too bad, but that does look like it is the end of his race. So we have KQ Microstatic in second place, 7/10 back as they go into the Retifilio chicane. And coming out of it, looks like he does get a little bit of a better exit, and makes up a little bit of time and then immediately loses it, and then starts gaining it again. Not sure whether that was a display issue with the game or whether that was actually just a little bit of ERS exchange. Looks like these guys are racing so closely together. Obviously the dirty air will be in effect here, and in the wet that is always extra difficult, but also it does look like there is a little bit of a dry line showing up, obviously with the light wet conditions. It means that the dry line will show. that was a very big snap of oversteer for KQ Static, and that is put him outside of the 1 second gap, but that is not very far, especially considering how close these guys have been racing, possibly overheating their tires a little bit, pushing each other through every single corner, down every single straight. But that is a mistake that will give Humid some breathing room, might allow him to recharge some of his ERS. KQ getting onto the wet on the off line, possibly trying to cool his tires a little bit. So as I said, both of these guys pushing really hard, and that may be causing them to overheat their tires a little bit. Humid 130.252, you can see how hard they are pushing as Moz takes the plausible bot and gets through it quite nice and easily. Marcus has now left the session. That is not a good sign. 8 laps in, and Marcus has now left the session as well. So we have 2 drivers having dropped from the session. I'm not sure what may have caused that, whether they actually dropped out or whether that was actually some sort of connection issue. Doesn't look like anyone else is lagging around too much, so I think that may have been an issue their side rather than with our side. And Moz looks like he may have lost it, and that is a safety car. So full safety car after Moz looked like he lost it through the Ritifilio chicane. It looks like he's lost his wing. Of course, it's not going to show us right now. Yeah, Moz has definitely lost his wing, so the wing may be on the racing line or something. I'm not sure why the full safety car would have come out for a loss of wing. But Moz has now lost his wing and the safety car is out, so that is good news for Moz, because he will be able to replace that wing, get onto fresher tires. Let's see what everyone else does as well. Obviously the easy or cheap pit stops are always good, but these two out in the front, they will lose position if they do choose to pit. So let's see what they do. Humid into pit, KQ into pit, Venom into pit, Jarvis, let's see what he does as he comes around Parabolica. Luckily here we don't have the pit lane being closed, so no problem there for the Mercedes. They're not going to tell their team too late that pit lane entry is closed. Plausible deciding not to pit, so he will take track position. Let's see if he manages to keep those tires going until the end of... Oh right, Plausible is of course a bot, I did forget that. So Plausible staying out of the bot. Moz coming in. Moz we expected to come in. Alicia has actually caught up quite nicely to the back of Moz, but obviously under the safety car that is not going to come to anything. And Deadpool is out of the race. So we have Marcus, and welcome back. Hype, you missed Moz hitting the wall and the safety car coming out despite him keeping going. Everyone has come into the pits other than Plausible. Marcus, I think he did actually pop into the pits, but I think he is also a bot, obviously. Himself and Plausible are bots. Okay, so interestingly, KQ Microstatic and Humid have been able to serve those 5-second penalties in the pits. So that means that we will not be removing penalties, because obviously those 5-second penalties have now been served, and we can't remove penalties that have been served as they affect your position on the racetrack. And if we remove 5 seconds from the end of the race, it means, or remove 5 seconds from your total race time, it gives you an unfair advantage. So especially if someone else hasn't served it or has served it or whatever the case may be, because it alters your position on the track, it does cause issues. Just 1cc, not sure who you are in game is, so no, unfortunately can't help you right away, but also we're afraid of desync if anyone rejoins, so lost connection is unfortunately the end of the race. It is unfortunate, but with the lobbies being as broken as they are, and the fact that you got kicked out by Marcus. The fact that you got kicked out by the F1 services in the first place is unfortunately just yeah, it's one of those things. We can't risk the desync, especially this late into the race, unless everyone actually agrees to it, which I'm not sure if people will, especially with where they are at the moment. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that the game is still as broken as it is, and again, hopefully they fix things in the next game. Obviously, with it being taken over by EA, there is hope. It's not just going to be the same game, just, you know, rebranded, or at least that's what we hope. I know it's not going to be using the Steam servers, which I think that, the current ones use the Steam matchmaking. I don't know if it uses the Steam servers themselves. It does seem a little bit too dodgy to be using the Steam servers, but there is a decent chance that, you know, EA actually moves it to their own servers, which run Apex and that sort of thing. So maybe they actually know what they're doing as far as servers are concerned. Codemasters, obviously their servers don't run anything other than the F1 games, and I don't know if they even run Dirt. I think the Dirt ones are actually just local lobbies. So yeah, basically what I'm saying, hopefully EA actually has the server infrastructure to support the number of races that are running around on the F1 games, and hopefully that means that we have more stable servers from the next installment of the game, which is coming in July, so really looking forward to that. Despite its price. So, Flawsible, the bot, is backing up the field really badly. This is always concerning because obviously everyone has to stay in a single file. Let's see how they go. Okay, so Venom in first place, 1/10 behind Flawsible. That's not really an issue. Humid right behind, so close. Check how close they all are. That is scary racing. Oh my word, that is really impressive. These guys are showing their car control as they go through the Retifilio chicane. That was incredible to watch. Well done to everyone for getting through there and not getting too messed up by the bot or the bots. Marcus's bot is doing far better than Flausible's bot. Well done. So yeah, basically what happens with the yellow flag is when these two bots are running almost exactly the same. That's a little odd. What happens with the yellow flags at the end of the safety car is when the safety car hits the pits, it creates a full course yellow flag, and that means that there will be a moment of yellow flag between when the safety car comes in and when the cars cross the start finish line, and once they cross the start finish line, then they actually end up removing the yellow flag. So Moz getting past the bots without any problems. Alicia currently a little bit further back, bringing up the rear, not too far behind, so hopefully we'll be able to get past those bots quite soon as well. So that safety car has brought everyone closer together. Venom out in front has pit, but obviously didn't have that 5-second penalty to serve. That looked like a little bit of lag there. Hopefully that is not a sign of things to come. The safety cars have been known to bug out the lobbies as well, so we will keep an eye on that. Humid right on Venom's tail, 4.5 tenths at the moment, and looks like that is accurate because it is currently sticking. KQ Marcostatic has fallen back from Humid a little bit, 1.2 seconds back now. Jarvis 1.2 seconds back from KQ Marcostatic, and I think we've just had a massive bug. Oh wait, no, there we go. I have no idea what happened there. Just as I was reading through the standings, everything changed. So, oh, no, there's definitely something going on. Okay, so we will keep an eye on the tower. It looks like the tower is freaking out a little bit because Venom is definitely in first place, Humid in second, KQ Microstatic is in third place on the track, Jarvis in fourth, Moz in fifth, Flawsible and Marcus Bots are in sixth and seventh, and Alicia further back in 8th. Looks like she is going to be trying to pass those bots shortly. Looked like a little bit of lag there, so I do think the lobby is actually a little bit broken, but it looks like we are still able to race as Venom gets the fastest lap, followed immediately by Humid, 1:29.804. So we are now 9 seconds off the dry times, not the crossover point, but we will be keeping an eye on that. Alicia looks like she is fighting the plausible bot now. Should get past it as they go into the first chicane. Alicia is ahead now, and well done to her for getting past those bots. So we have everyone ahead of the bots. That should make my life a lot easier towards the end of the race when I'm having to sort out standings and everything. Because I don't have to, DNF or disqualify the bots in the standings themselves. So Venom is in first place, Humid in second, KQ Microstatic sitting in third place. Everyone very close together up until that point. Jarvis 2.2 seconds back, not doing great on the restart. Moz behind him 3.6 seconds. So I do think that Moz does have damage, either damage or is running a dry setup in the wet, and that may be causing issues. Although as the track dries, you can see clearly the dry line there. He might start coming back to it. Alicia 5.5 seconds behind, racing against the bots in the wet. And doing a good job as she goes through Ascari. So Humid is now right on the back of Venom. Marcus's bot is back ahead of Plausible. Humid right at the back of Venom. KQ Microstatic now gets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:29.694. Yes, the track dries even if it is still wet, light rain. The track can... Ooh, that looked like a massive snap of oversteer by Venom. So he will have lost time on the apex of that corner, but it does not look like Humid managed to take advantage of it. Obviously, with the fact that it is wet and with the fact that that was on the apex, he would have had to back out a little bit, but that may put the two of them a little bit closer into KQ Microstatic's hands, and KQ currently running 8.5 tenths back, 8 tenths back now, 7 tenths back, so there is definitely a little bit of a loss of time from Venom and Humid out in front. Where was I? Humid a little bit onto the grass on the left-hand side in the middle of the Lesmos. So Humid losing it a little bit, losing his composure, putting himself back into KQ Microstatic's hands a little bit. And yes, as I was saying, so the intermediate tires and the wet tires, in fact, are actually designed to clear up a dry line on the track. So if the weather does dry up at any point, it means that the cars will have gone over the parts of the track, the racing line basically, and will have cleared the water off that racing line. If I recall correctly, the stat for the wet tires is something along the lines of 60 liters of water cleared per second. If it is like ridiculously wet like it was in Spa, 60 liters a second that it clears away from the track. So yeah, no, really interesting stuff. The intermediates obviously are a little bit hardier. They can run a little bit hotter, and don't move as much water, but they do still remove the water. So even if it is wet, as it is here, it's still dry, raining. But you can see that dry line starting up. That dry line will be starting to overheat the tires a little bit. And so you will start the guys starting to try and look for wet patches on the track to cool down the tires. So you'll see as they go through the second Lesmo, they'll probably go to away from the racing line, which is on the left hand side of the track here. So they'll go here, and then they'll probably go all the way to the right hand side of the track. Except of course not this time. I'm pretty sure they did the last lap. Yeah, it did look like a... Yeah, it did look like he went for, it did look at something into the second chicane. It did look like he may have clattered across the curbing though, so that's not ideal. These guys are pushing as hard as they can, keeping to the dry line at the moment, but you can see KQ running a little bit off to the right hand side. So that is to try and find a little bit of wet patches just to cool down the tires. There we go, some more. You can see they're all taking different lines to try and find some water to cool those tires a little bit more as they head down towards the Retifilo chicane. Yeah, Marcus, your bot is doing pretty well. It's definitely giving Alicia something to race against at the moment, but she's doing pretty well. Going through the corner, she's definitely... Oh, there, your bot has decided to pit. Windows L. What does Windows L do, out of interest? Also, what does Shift L do? Oh, right, of course, I forgot about that. So, KQ Microstatic is still within a second of Humid, who's within almost half a second now of Venom, obviously dumping quite a bit of ERS. Yeah, Marcus, let's see what your bot can do, but he still has to, he first has to deal with the plausible bot who is right on top of him at this point. Right, you were typing. So these guys are so close now. Humid has decided he has had enough of the back of that Mercedes. He is pushing that Mercedes through Parabolica. That looked about as controlled as you could possibly get, being that close. KQ Microstatic now gets another fastest lap, a 129.523. So these guys stepping it up, trying to put pressure on each other. KQ in third place at the moment, but putting in fastest lap after fastest lap, so he is definitely doing well on these tires and in these conditions. Dry line opening up even further as these guys have found the water on the edges. I don't know, obviously with the rain it does mean that it's just going to keep getting wet and wet, but KQ has now fallen back a little bit, maybe not a great exit out of the Retifilo chicane. Humid 5/10ths back from Venom after being very close going into the De La Roggia. So these guys trading time all over the place as they go through their paces, pushing themselves as hard as they possibly can, and they are still sticking together. It is so difficult to pass in the wet, and you can see it with how long these guys have been fighting, lap after lap after lap, trading fastest laps, trading positions with each other, pushing each other through Parabolica and through every single one of these turns, making sure that everyone has so much pressure on them. And most of the time this is when mistakes happen. You are pushing to try and stay ahead of the guy behind you, and they are pushing to try and force you to make a mistake. But so far these three definitely showing their mettle as they head down the pit straight once again down towards the Retifilo chicane. As we saw in the driver standings at the beginning of the stream, these all three of these guys, if I remember correctly, all three of these guys do actually still have a chance at the championship. I know for a fact that at least Venom and Humid do. Humid obviously has the best chance being out in front at the moment by more than 25 points. So if he does actually score points today, he will have clinched the championship at a track that he absolutely despises. But that is just one of those things, and we will see. He is looking for this win. You can see him looking at the inside of Venom around every corner, looking at the outside, looking for any gap he can possibly take. 5/10ths between him and Venom and KQ Microstatic as well, and Humid gets a terrible exit out of the second Lesmo. Let's see what happens as KQ comes up, looks at the inside, will not be close enough just yet, but will be getting out of that spray just to get a little bit of a better run into Ascari and a better run out of it. Humid looking like he is struggling a little bit now, not sure what he is what's happening. Maybe he's overheated his tires a little bit, possibly has a little bit too much pressure in them, but this is looking like it is heating up between KQ and Humid. Just as I mentioned that he can possibly win the championship, he starts to show little signs of pressure and cracking, and yes, he can win the championship if I recall correctly in this race. So Humid weaving around a little bit, possibly looking at some clean air, possibly just trying to show himself in Humid's mirrors, as Venom looks like he goes quite slowly on the apex there. So that will have dropped Humid closer to him, but may also have caused him to drop back a little bit, although that is not the case. Humid is now within 2/10ths, almost 2/10ths of Venom in front of him. Ooh, that looked like a bad line through there for Venom. Hopefully that is not damage for him, as those curbs are very vicious. KQ weaving around, possibly trying to get some clean air just so he can brake properly down towards the first Lesmo, out into the second one, and everyone gets a decent exit out of there. And it is as you were. All three of these guys are within a second of each other and racing hard as they head down towards Ascari chicane. Humid is now 2.5 tenths back as they come to the end of the chicane, but does not get as good an exit as Venom. Venom now 4 tenths ahead, but that is rapidly dropping. So Humid is pushing as hard as he possibly can. He knows KQ is right behind him. He knows he needs to put some space and possibly a car between himself and his competitor now. And KQ is definitely pushing as hard as he can to make life as difficult as possible for Humid. The more KQ makes life difficult for Humid, the less likely Humid is to be able to get past Venom, and that means Humid will drop even further back and drop more points in the championship. But as I said, if he scores any points at this point, there is a good chance that he wins. So he just has to keep his head, keep in place, take the positions if they are presented to him, but not push too hard and not lose his cool. Going into the De La Roger chicane, Humid takes a very safe line through there, but does overcook it on the exit, and that's going to drop him right back into KQ Mark Static's hands. KQ into the first Lesmo, under 5 tenths back. Through the second, gets a good run through there, but Humid's is slightly better, and so Humid does start pulling away, but KQ onto the wet stuff to try and cool his tires. Once again, you could see them running on the slightly lighter side of the track. That lighter side is where the water is, and so everyone is struggling with tire temperatures in this first three these front three rather. So 6 laps to go at this point when they cross the start-finish line. I think 6. No, 7 laps. I can never remember if if it's just a straight subtraction or if I have to add one. I think it's 7 laps to go. This one is obviously lap 21 out of 27, so I'm pretty sure it is 7 laps to go. And Humid still under massive pressure from KQ Marcus, that KQ getting a much better exit out of the Retifilo chicane and into Curva Grande. But it is very difficult to pass into the De La Roger chicane, although KQ does look at the inside and then decides better of it. Humid is falling back from Venom, so Humid obviously having a little bit of a problem following Venom at this point. 7 tenths back. This is for a moment he was over a second back, and that is the biggest gap we've seen between these guys for a while now. So what is happening with Humid? Is he struggling with pressure? Is he struggling with his tire wear? Has he overheated his tires a little bit at some point that we missed? He may have pushed too hard into a corner, locked up a little bit, and had a little bit of overheating, but he is losing a tenth once again and goes very wide coming out of Ascari. That is going to give KQ a little bit of an advantage on the exit, and you can see KQ climbing a little bit as far as time is concerned as they go into Parabolica. KQ does miss the apex though, so KQ has lost that advantage as Humid goes through apex and does get a little bit of a better run through there. KQ is catching up though even after that, and Humid is still losing time to Venom. So I don't know if Venom has maybe decided to step up the pace, has possibly pushed his ERS a little bit harder on this last lap, but Venom is making his run now. Moz goes into 4th place as Jarvis heads into the pits. Unfortunately, we missed the pit stop. Not sure if he maybe had some damage, but Jarvis going into the pits, possibly struggling with some tire wear. So that is quite interesting. Does that mean that these front three, who pitted at the same time as what Jarvis did under the safety car, does that mean that their tires are starting to go off? Humid wiggling around through on the exit of the first Lesmo. So possibly what is happening to him, they might have torn through these tires, especially pushing each other as hard as they possibly can. Venom's tires will likely be a little bit less worn. Humid now getting a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and that is devastating considering how close these three actually are. That means he will very likely drop into third place, assuming the other two do not get time penalties themselves. So Humid definitely struggling with tires as he starts to make some mistakes. Venom out in front looks like he has possibly saved some of his tires. Won't have gone through them as much thanks to the lack of dirty air. So that clean air means he can cool his tires a little bit better. Humid and Microstatic will both have been dealing with the air wash and the heated air off the cars in front of them. So their tires will be a little bit more worn than Venom's out in front, assuming Venom hasn't been pushing too hard. You can see they're starting to get to a little bit more towards the normal racing line through Curva Grande, although that may have just been to keep the tires a little bit cooler. Now Humid will be pushing as hard as he can. He will need to get ahead, and he will need to try and get 3 seconds up the track, but I don't know if that's going to be possible with only I'd say what, 4.5 laps to go. So 4.5 laps to go, and Humid will need to push super hard to try and get through here. He is going to have to try and split the waters and make it onto a dry track to have any sort of chance of getting up ahead. It looks like everyone is trying to look for any remaining water on the track. The rain does still look like it is here to stay though, and we do kind of know that it's here to stay. Venom loses it on going through Parabolica, and that is going to negatively affect him like crazy. And Humid is looking to get past KQ Microstatic with the fastest lap of the race, the 129.502. Venom is now behind Humid, has lost the position after that moment coming through Parabolica, but let's see how they go through the Retifilio chicane. They look like they are getting through all fine. And once again, incredible control from these three as they go through the Retifilio chicane. KQ Microstatic is now going to have to clear Venom, especially with that massive snap. Venom's tires may be starting to fall off as well, and KQ will want to get past Venom, especially with that mistake. It means that he is going to be looking at this and knowing that Venom might be cracking a little bit, might have a little bit more tire wear. Let's see what KQ can actually do. Coming through the second Lesmo, this is Venom. So we'll ride on with KQ at the moment as he is on the back of Venom, 5/10ths back, but Venom has already dropped 9/10ths back from Humid. So Humid in the clear air looks like he is more comfortable now and will be pushing even harder despite those slightly worn tires. It does look like they are coming up to the two bots to try and lap them, but that shouldn't cause too much of an issue. I don't remember if bots cause dirty air, although they can give DRS in dry conditions. That is not going to be an issue for this race, obviously, with it being wet still. KQ Microstatic taking a very wide line through Parabolica, which is the fastest way to get through there. However, Humid showing that he is even faster with a 129.238, the fastest lap of the race so far. Venom 6/10ths back, and KQ Microstatic was for a moment 4/10ths back from Venom as they go through the Retifilio chicane and onto Curva Grande. Let's see if KQ Microstatic can make this happen before the end of the race. Only 3 laps to go as they go through Curva Grande once again. As they come down towards De La Roja chicane, where the back markers are going through, they are still so close together. Clattering over the curves a little bit will affect his exit, and you saw there he did dip a tire onto the grass and lost so much time, 3/10ths just by dipping the tire onto the grass there. But KQ Microstatic definitely looking a lot more steady. I really should stop complimenting KQ's driving, because every time I do, he has he has a moment. Every race I've mentioned how well he's doing, he ends up in the wall. So let's move away from him and not curse his race this time. So Venom, a second back from Humid. So Humid pushing so hard to try and get that 3-second gap. 2 laps to go, or almost 2 laps to go, as they come down towards Parabolica through Parabolica, and KQ is 4/10 back from Venom. Venom 1.1 seconds back from Humid. Humid trying to cement that lead, but not able to get that far ahead on the straight. But KQ Markstatic looks to the inside of Venom and decides better of it. He will be looking at this, looking at the fact that if he gets alongside Venom during these sections, it means that they will both be going slower, and that will give Humid a little bit of an advantage, a little bit of time to pull away even further. So he has to decide, does he want to push Venom as hard as he possibly can and cause them to go side by side through some of these corners? Does he want to try and pass and get after Humid? Does he want to keep in his current position and let Venom run his race? KQ spinning the back tires up quite badly there. Does he want Venom to run his race and keep within those 3 seconds of Humid and then take him on the last lap? We will find out very shortly, as we are on the penultimate lap, lap 26 of 27, as Humid comes up to the back markers. 1.7 seconds. So Venom definitely struggling to keep up. 1.7 seconds, 1.3 seconds between Humid and winning this race. KQ Microstatic goes a little bit wide coming out of Ascari, but does not get any penalties. Looks like Venom is dumping a whole bunch of ERS to keep KQ behind him, but KQ is right on top of him. 3/10 going into Parabolica. Going through Parabolica, KQ taking the normal line, taking as much of the track as possible, and that should give him a slightly faster run out of the corner and onto the straight. But he's still 6/10 back now, dropped 2/10 from nowhere. Not sure what happened there as Venom goes around the bot into the Retifilio chicane. KQ Markstatic goes through the bot, 6-7/10 between. Oh, that is a massive snap of oversteer. 7/10 now. So KQ Markstatic, let's actually drop to the leader gap rather than the interval, and we can see KQ Markstatic on the edge of Humid's penalty as Jarvis sets the fastest lap, 129.180. So taking it away from the guys out in front. Jarvis did pit, so he may have been trying to get that fastest lap point away from whoever got it. He will be on fresher tires, so that will make a massive difference to how he can do it. So we can see leader gap 2.2 seconds and then 2.7 seconds back to KQ Microstatic, both of them still within that 3-second gap that they need. As they come down to the Ascari chicane for the last time, all they need to do is keep position at the moment. Possibly KQ will want to pass Venom on going through Parabolica, but let's see if he has saved up enough ERS to do that. 5/10 between the two of them and 2.6 between KQ, Microstatic and Humid. As Humid goes onto the pit straight for the last time, he will take the checkered flag, but it is not about that yet right away. It is about where these two end up, and they end up in first and second thanks to that 3-second penalty that Humid picked up. He will be disappointed with that, but he will be ecstatic with the fact that he has scored good points here. And as I said earlier, I do believe that secures the top spot in the championship for him. Well done on the race, well done on keeping his head as long as he did. He waited and waited and waited to get past Venom, and Venom did a great job defending as Jarvis gets a 128.997 fastest lap of the race on the final lap of the race. So a great run by those front three, Venom, KQ Microstatic and Humid, showing their class, showing how closely matched they are, especially in the wet, and running an absolutely stunning race. Well done to all three of them. That was absolutely incredible. So as Alicia comes through Parabolica for the final time, the last car on the last lap, she comes across the line in 6th place, getting decent points in her second race back with the F1 2021 League and in the wet as well. Driver of the day is Venom. I absolutely agree with that. He controlled the race for so long, and well done to him for the win. KQ Microstatic, as I said, in 2nd place thanks to that 3-second penalty by Humid. Humid in 3rd, Moz in 4th. Good points for the Aston Martin team, and that will bring them up a little bit further up. Unfortunately, Marcus, because of how early you got dropped out, I don't think there are going to be points. I think you have to complete 75% of the race under your own steam before you get points. So that was a great race for everyone that was able to stick around. Unfortunately, the the server once again screwed us over a little bit. Sorry to Marcus and to Flawsible, who both looked like they got dropped out because of it. But what a race. Well done to all of the guys. And thank you everyone for joining us. I'm going to pop into the Discord and see whether the guys want to talk about the race a little bit on the stream. So I will be right back. Cool, and I'm back with the drivers themselves. First up, we will chat to Venom. I think Venom is here. Yes, Venom is here. Okay, so Venom, obviously great race, running behind Humid at the end, but with that 3-second penalty, KQ right on your tail. How difficult was it to focus on keeping that 3-second gap, or that gap under 3 seconds, but still staying ahead of KQ in the process?
Well, in the start, I just tried to focusing about my my tires to keep them alive, and not overcook them to lose too much time. And yes, with the 3 seconds, I just need to keep it clear to stay away from track limits. And I knew I will win this race if I just focus on that particular points. So yeah, great race between Humid and Marco Static. They both pushed me in the start after the safety car. So yeah, well done to them, and GG, well done everyone.
Cool, and next we will have KQ up for the next question. He looks like he's deafened at the moment, so we'll come back to him. So we'll go to Humid. Wait, there we go. KQ is back. So KQ, obviously you were running behind Humid and Venom for most of that race, pushing as hard as you could, getting fastest laps out of nowhere in the laps that looked like the other guys were running very well, and then suddenly you'd come out of nowhere and get the fastest lap. What was it like running in the dirty air? How are your tires doing? And just keeping out of any moments between Venom and Humid. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, thanks, Gexies. Hello, everybody in Korea. It's been a while since I've chatted to y'all, and I hope you all are well on YouTube. So basically, I decided to keep it chill because I'm not in a championship fight, and my luck hasn't been so great recently in recent races. So I had a good-ish start, but Humid was better on the pace on warm-up. So I decided to let him go, and it turns out I actually could keep up with him in dirty air. So I decided I'm going to use that as my strategy. The slipstream helped me very well. I was able to keep my ERS. Had to just watch it with the exits, particularly in Parabolica. The back end was just asking to tap out. But it was actually manageable, and that's how I would like end up getting a gap because of a mistake or because choosing to save some battery and then just go out for a lap, and it would just be perfect enough for fastest lap. So it was a weird one because it felt all right when I was right next in behind him, but as soon as I dropped out of it or we were fighting, then it was horrific. But otherwise, fun was had. I'm annoyed at the result, but it was fun.
Yeah, you came very close at the end there. I could see you pressuring as hard as you could, but yeah, the defense was equal to it. Next up, we've got Humid, obviously with that 3-second penalty, trying to push. You got so close at the end there, especially with KQ and Venom fighting it out. They did cause a couple of issues for each other, but eventually managed to keep within those 3 seconds. How difficult was it to try and push out of that 3-second gap? And like, how did you feel coming across the line and seeing that gap just not being enough?
Okay, answer 1, in short, very difficult. Answer 2, very annoying.
And like, what were your tires like? Were your tires starting to give out? And we noticed that you dropped back a little bit.
I kept making errors. I just kept
Alright.
making human errors right there.
Yeah.
I
So
was too greedy on the throttle, and then just unstable carb puts me on a bit on the grass and whatnot. So
yeah. Cool. Thank you for that. And then Jarvis. Jarvis, obviously you got the fastest lap at the end, pitting closer to the end than the other guys. Was that a tactical decision for your team, or was that something that you just wanted to do a la Charles Leclerc?
I got floorboard damage on turn 1, as seen, so I couldn't keep up with race pace. Lost 1.5 tenths down straight to the guys in front, so I just decided to try and go for fastest lap.
Cool. And obviously that does affect the team championship quite a lot. So that fastest lap, I'm sure, will come into play at the end of the season. This is a question to all of you guys. Coming to the end of the season, only one race to go. What are you looking to achieve? We'll start with Venom first. What are you looking to achieve in the final race of the season?
Well, hopefully first place, because I'm still consistent with the championship. So, yeah, I was fully saying it in the last race to win it again.
Cool. And then KQ, what are you expecting to get out of the last race? Obviously, last race, Jeddah, very quick circuit. What are you hoping to achieve?
So before I answer, I just wanted to check where I am in the standings, if that is a thing.
I will tell you shortly. Let me just double check.
But apart from that, honestly, have a good race. SCOM and Codemasters and PC and the internet allowing.
Yes.
Because a lot of the times, like, it will be my qualifying that absolutely ruins my Grand Prix, and I have to have a comeback recovery race. This was the first time that I fought from at the front, and as much as turn 1 annoyingly decided a lot of it, it was still fun. And credits to Venom and Humid, by the way, I forgot to mention that. But just to have a good race, everything to go well in qualifying so that I can fight again like I did today, and good points for my team. That's all.
Cool. And then Humid, obviously you are still not out of reach of Venom. Just as an interesting thing, you are 19 points ahead of Venom. So Jeddah is going to be the season decider. What are you looking for in the race? What are you hoping to achieve?
enough points to win the championship.
So like a 10th will be a 7th will be fine for you.
I think it's 7th. I'm not too sure.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. So there's 19 points between you and Venom. Venom is on 122 points. Humid, you are on 141 points. So there is still a chance for you to lose the championship if in the final race. So everything to fight for.
Mm-hmm. Just gotta not win it. And if I get
Just be
taken
7
out,
points
well,
fastest
I
lap.
don't know what the fuck's happening.
Cool. KQ, you are in 6th place with 56 points ahead of Moz as of this race. Behind TJ, Fox, Jarvis, obviously Venom, and Humid. And then as far as the team standings are concerned, there are, just work this out, 21 points between Mercedes and Aston Martin. So obviously,
also
yeah, that is very close as well. It's everything to play for in this final race. So yeah, we'll hope to see you guys in the next race for the Jeddah Grand Prix. And thanks for an incredible race to commentate. That was great.
Cool. Thank you
Fun
for
to
your
drive in.
hosting.
Cool. Thanks,
Yes,
guys.
thank you for the stream.
Of course, happy to run it. Alrighty. And there we have it. The drivers looking forward to the final race, everything to play for. Did very close towards, or not very close, but close enough that it is a great place to finish the season. Jeddah, obviously a street circuit, very close walls, very high speeds, so easy to lose it through many of those corners, as we saw with Mick Schumacher plowing into the wall during the real life race. So let's see what happens for the championship. Hope everyone gets through all right, and it's going to be an explosive end to the season. I'd love to raid Rego, but I unfortunately am not the admin of the Ikoria Twitch stream. So yeah, unfortunately you're going to have to hop over that side on your... Oh yeah, real life quality, that's right, thank you. So yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to host you and to commentate that race. What a race. And we will see you guys next time.